This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime. In association with Micromax. Nothing like anything.
There is no second chance, no music, no dance. Stand up.
The Real Deal, presented by Clove Dental, a Nitin Doshi portfolio company. Real challenges, real solutions, and real money. I know I keep saying that, but no challenge could have proved that better than last week when our contestants went on the ground for their third challenge to the Leprosy Mission Trust. Last week, we took our 12 social entrepreneurs to the Leprosy Mission Vocational Training Center in Nasik to find real solutions to real problems. We gave each entrepreneur 1 hour at the mission to identify a problem and then pitch a solution to the community members. Most of the contestants went out of their comfort skills zone and identified all kinds of challenges faced by the community and came up with individually different solutions.
कितनी लड़कियां हैं हमारे गांव में जो पढ़ना चाहती हैं, कुछ सीखना चाहती हैं.
We're sourcing your things here. You can get out of your own institute via them.
Our contestants quickly learned that their solutions are only viable if they addressed a need. And they also thought that the community members and the students were judging them. As always, our investors have the last say. Let's hear what they have to say and their scores.
Get the real deal.
Judges, you had so much fun last week, I could tell. But how do you think our contestants fared?
They really did an amazing job in immediately overriding any stigmas associated with leprosy.
Seasoned social entrepreneurs like Gayatri and Wilma, they were really having fun. They were in their elements and they were like morcha leaders.
Interesting.
Some of them really came out of their comfort zone, but some of them actually just stuck to their comfort zone. So for example, Swapnil, I actually liked his proactive approach. I think Nilima was a little bit, sort of more reserved. I mean, I thought she was just stuck, to one table, to just the girls, didn't really move around too much.
Great.
Well, you know what I found interesting? Each one of them came out with solutions that were both creative and short-term, medium-term, long-term. Now, some of them may not be viable, but I would say the ideas were amazing, and I'm so glad that we were there.
I think this challenge was testing empathy, and I think all of the entrepreneurs were highly engaged with the community, but they did have different approaches to solving the three fundamental problems, which is basically funding for the center, jobs for the candidates, the students, and of course, awareness of this issue of leprosy.
I'd like to now ask for you to give them their scores, and starting with Shelley, please.
Shelley's suggestions were very unique. He talked about some new revenue streams, particularly showing that he had listened to the girls, talked about adding new classes for nursing and fashion.
Let's add more courses. For example, nurse assistant, beauty parlor, fashion designing. Second, in your computer programming course, let's add some advanced level programming, for example, mobile programming, right? You can charge more for those same courses, and that way you can make more money.
What I liked particularly was when you walked into a class, you asked the permission of the students to talk to them for a few minutes, which was a very good way of engaging them. And as a result, all of them were really speaking to you. They were giving their suggestions, and that's exactly how I think you were able to capture the thoughts that Karthik just mentioned. So good job.
Next, I'd like to call up Deep.
I mean, I really liked Deep's energy. I think it was very positive, very bold.
First, I saw how moved he was by just sort of interacting and being amongst the students at lunchtime. I thought that was very striking for me. And the way that he just immersed himself as he walked into the classrooms, cracked jokes, got them immediately sort of switched on to answering his questions.
Talking to the students was another revelation. I think they were so brutally confident. I think I've not seen kids in today's public schools would be so gullible. You know, they were so open. They wanted to eat with you, get to know you better, and they're like normal kids. Brilliant, super energetic. It was awesome.
And getting into the essence of what is it they need, what is it they're looking for, and breaking the ice helped them sort of loosen up and then be honest with him about what can be better.
Let's see your scores for Deep. Our next contestant is Akash, and he's quite the inventor.
The ideas that you presented felt fairly complicated to me. And for example, you talked about Center of Excellence from the Government of India. I'm not so sure what, if they could understand what Center of Excellence would mean. Good ideas, but they felt complicated. However, on the other side, I really liked your ideas about setting up those motor repair shops or the bike repair shops. I think those were very practical, doable ideas.
You can have a designated motor repair shop, vehicle repair shop, bike repair shop, carpenting shop, where you can use the existing tools you have, generate revenue, and from that revenue you can put more tools in the workshop.
Overall, I would say, mixed feedback for me.
So this time I scored 39 out of 50, and that was a real confidence booster.
Our next contestant is going to be Wilma.
I thought you were really, curious. I think you were polite. I think you made the other person feel at ease when you were asking your questions. But somehow, I think when you give your pitch, I think it didn't really translate much. I think it didn't really make sense. I don't know if you asked the right questions. I think that's really the big question mark in my mind.
I thought that I'd identified the problem very specifically in that jobs was something that the children would really need. I was trying to find a way out into getting them become entrepreneurs, and that is the solution that I had actually articulated.
Next up is Gayatri.
You really got to the bottom of the problem identifications very quickly, and you talked about the big picture funding, and you talked about CapEx. Well done.
I think when you walked into that welding class, you had all of those 17 students completely mesmerized. But it wasn't just the fact that you were talking to them about their work, but there was very specific and concrete follow-through. Part of this challenge is also about how well one listens. So I do understand that because obviously you're a veteran in the sector, you understand the problem so well. You may already know this, but there was almost like a 90% speaking versus 10% listening.
I agree with Karthik. I think you're obviously one of the most seasoned entrepreneurs here, and you did come up with some viable solutions. But I think it was almost seemed like you were bullying them, and you were preaching a very teacher-like.
कितने लोग 12वीं पास हैं यहाँ? हाथ उठाओ. नासिक में 230 कंपनी है जहाँ वेल्डर की ज़रूरत है आज. 2-2 जन, 3-3 जन एक कंपनी में हर हफ्ते 1 दिन या 2 दिन जन कर सकते हो?
So I think you have to be a little bit more humble.
I was actually impressed that Radha made the comment that she made. It is true that, with so much experience, I did think that Gayatri got a little patronizing because I've been giving her this feedback. Do not, show that you are a powerful entrepreneur.
The next contestant to come on is Jesse.
A little bit distracted during the course of the day. For example, when we all walked in, when we started having the first conversations, I saw many of them taking notes, but I thought you were on your SMSs. Was that something important going on the side, or did I miss something? Or
not sure what situation you refer to. Usually when I enter a place like this, I have my own strategy how I want to find out, in this case, what should be done, what opportunities there are. In a set program that there is, that usually deviates from how my approach is, and I just stick to my approach, because I know that works best for me. I think that it's obvious if you have a different cultural background like I have, if you have some practical issues to work with, that your approach towards such a task is very different than from all the other people. I think different approach doesn't mean that the outcome is bad.
I think it could have been better for Jesse, and I feel that he got put on the spotlight, and he was quite upset with that.
Our next contestant is Swapnil.
तो यहाँ मैंने पाया कि ना सिर्फ यहाँ सोशल इंक्लूजन है, डिग्निफाइड लाइवलीहुड है, बल्कि पॉवर्टी एलिवेशन का सच ए पावरफुल मीडियम दिस इज़। और इसीलिए मैं एक ऐसा डिमांड डिविडेंड प्लेटफॉर्म प्रपोज करता हूँ जिसमें बाहर का कोई भी इन्वेस्टर इन्वेस्ट करके यहाँ पे एक ट्रेनिंग सेंटर खोल सकता है।
I think he kind of went to the top-bottom approach, and he was kind of like taking mental notes and also actually getting into the number crunching and working out on the revenue model. So I think he was also thinking about the finance part of it, and not just a model, the Bible model, but also a financial model, which could be more sustainable. So I like that.
I think your pitch was fine. You mentioned things about having less girls there at the mission and things like that. But I think at the lunch room, you were slightly conscious and making sure that we were watching you, and you kept staring back at us for some reason. And the second thing is that as I was following you around from room to room, I felt that you were just jumping into very micro level questions and conversations, and you didn't even bother to know who was the person in charge in that room. So you just walked straight into, and the first person you saw, you started talking to that person and started asking him all the big picture questions which he had no clue about. So maybe you had to be a little bit conscious about it, but I realized that the cameras were following you, so you were a bit conscious, but slightly disappointed.
Vaibhav, you're up next.
I like the idea of the sports, but I think it was a bit over-ambitious, and I think not something practical which can be sort of done immediately.
क्यों ना हम एक IPL जैसा एक टूर्नामेंट ऑर्गेनाइज करें जो सारे कॉर्पोरेट्स के साथ यहाँ पे ऑर्गेनाइज हो, जिसमें सारे कॉर्पोरेट्स आपके साथ आके खेलें एज इन टीम्स, जहाँ पे वॉलीबॉल में भी पार्टिसिपेट करें और क्रिकेट में भी पार्टिसिपेट करें, और उसके साथ आपको कई सारे बेनिफिट्स मिलेंगे। पहला, अगर कोई बड़ा आदमी आके उसे इनॉग्रेट करते हैं, जिससे आपको बहुत पब्लिसिटी होगी इस जगह की, फंडिंग के और स्टिग्मा के इश्यूज खत्म होंगे।
Something more short term than just long term. I think that's what you need to think about.
Judges, your scores please for Vaibhav.
Radha said that they are very long-term and not easily implementable, whereas a sports day, according to me, it's pretty easily implementable. So I thought that Vaibhav's were fun suggestions which were actually possible to do without much pain for the institute, so he should have scored better.
Nilima?
I was walking with you. I felt that you were really asking too many questions. You were not really allowing them to answer the questions before you had a new set of questions. So you were really trying too hard, perhaps.
JavaScript घेऊन तुम्हाला काय वाटतं की future मध्ये काय करू शकता career मध्ये, job मध्ये? And you've done HTML and CSS too. तुम्हाला आवडतं का हे coding? कशाला आवडतं? कसं काय? म्हणजे कशाला आवडतं?
So I was expecting the presentation to be not as good as it ended up. So I think it was an interesting experience for me to see, which tells me that you're very intelligent and capable. I think just you need to harness that energy to get some feedback and involvement of the community members. So if you do that, I think you have a killer combination.
Funny that Amar said that I was asking too many questions because he wasn't there when I was actually having really rich, deep, insightful conversations with the girls during lunch. I think I should have scored higher.
Next, I'd like to call up to the hotspot, Subodh.
The interactions that you've had with students just at lunchtime, sitting at your own table, surrounded by the students and obviously clearly engaged. I think you have this galvanizing effect. So I really enjoyed watching you in action.
I think you're like a union leader, and you actually got everybody charmed, by your personality and your interpersonal communication skills, especially because you speak in Marathi, and I think that was a terrific advantage that you had. You hit on all the big issues, the big pictures. You were constantly looking for revenues. You were looking for some entrepreneurial solutions, along with the students and the teachers.
Having the enterprise set up between the student and the teacher. Once we have this business set up, this can be very quick. The teacher can be the mentor, the student can be the person who's running the business along with the teacher, and that can be surely in the local market here.
Your presentation also was extremely well thought through. So congratulations, well done.
I think the out-of-the-box thinking and the specificity of your proposal was amazing. It was very, very different from the others. For example, others also talked about a service center, but you were the only one who actually went out and figured out that the average price per square foot there is 125 rupees per square foot, and gave specific suggestions that Bajaj and Mahindra, which have factories in Nasik, could set up a service center here.
Across the street, I found out that people are paying rent of about 125 rupees a square foot for rent. So even if you're able to lease out about 80 square feet, you would be funding 2 of your students for an entire year of vocational training.
So I thought that from an out-of-the-box thinking perspective and also making it precise, giving concrete examples relevant and local to them, you did a very good job.
I felt like out of all my teammates, I had the most viable solution. When I suggested their integration with Keto and doing an internal campaigns with Keto to get them funding for their particular projects, that was a problem that nobody else identified, and I really thought I would get some brownie points for that.
Well, the scores have been given for the Leprosy Mission Challenge. At the end of the Leprosy Mission Challenge, a lot of the contestants are neck to neck. Deep and Gayatri are at the top of the scoreboard, whereas Nikhil, Subodh, Swapnil and Vaibhav are all bunched together with more or less the same score. Shelly, Siddhi, Nilima, Jessie, Wilma and Akash are bringing up the bottom half of the scoreboard.
We have one more challenge. It's called the Marshmallow Challenge. Before we get to marshmallowing around, let's take a quick break.